Welcome to our Ministry Bite. It's our bite-sized boost for our growth personally and together. Now, I'm guessing all of us have had some ouch, that hurt moments when somebody gave us feedback. You know, a culture where people are generous with encouragement and feedback is a healthy, fertile culture or atmosphere for growth, right? Encouragement strengthens what is good and healthy, and feedback facilitates learning for us to grow and improve. Now, as a church, we want a culture where giving and receiving feedback is norm, where it's welcomed, where it's valued, where people feel safe to offer feedback to another. You know, I believe we have Pastor Wilson to thank for that, for instilling this value in us. You know, he set an example for us from the very early days of the church. I remember when I first joined the leadership team, and I joined my first leaders meeting, and I was surprised to see Pastor Wilson open the floor for everyone to offer him feedback, to give him feedback on his preaching. I soon realized that this was done every single week, that the team had the opportunity to give encouragement and feedback for improvement to every person who ministered. It was a norm to give and to receive feedback because the intent was clear. We all wanted to grow and we all wanted to help each other grow. You know, can you remember the last time you received feedback from your teams in church? In your ministry as you serve in life group? I don't know. If you don't, perhaps can I suggest it's time to solicit some feedback, to actually ask feedback from the right people, from the team around you, from your leaders, from whoever can offer you some helpful feedback for your own growth and development, your own improvement. Now, learning to give feedback well in a way that is helpful and builds up the other person is really important. But today, I really want to encourage us on how we receive feedback. You know, from my experience, most of the time, feedback given is helpful and it's relatively easy to swallow. But every now and again, ouch, it hurts. You know, I can't recall any time where anyone was intentionally hurtful with their feedback, and I certainly hope that we won't experience that in the church. But even well-intentioned feedback can sometimes hurt for a number of reasons, right? It could be that words that were used might have been a bit careless or a bit insensitive or maybe even a bit harsh. It could be that the timing of the feedback when it was offered was poor. It could be that the person giving the feedback didn't understand the backstory of that situation and we felt misunderstood. The most common reason it hurts, I think, is because feedback often touches an area of insecurity in us. I'll share an example. You know, I remember when I first, I was quite new to platform ministry as a chairperson. And I remember being in a group discussion once where the discussion was over who might be a suitable chairperson for a particular event. And in this event, we wanted an atmosphere that is, you know, energetic and engaging. And I remember someone described me as too stable and calm for this event, and I felt an ouch. And you know, if you think about it, why? So later I thought about it. I was like, why? Why did I feel hurt or maybe even a bit offended at that comment? It seemed like a reasonable comment in that context. Plus, it's true. I am a pretty stable, calm personality, and it shows in my chairing. So why did it hurt? Right? Because I realized that one of my insecurities when it comes to speaking publicly is that I feared that I was boring or uninteresting and no one actually wants to listen to me. It's an insecurity I was dealing with in platform ministry. And by the way, for anyone serving the platform or having your art or media or dance or performing in any way, when what we are doing is, you know, on a platform for everyone to see, guys, we know that this is one of the biggest challenges or areas of growth in such ministry roles. insecurity is something we've got to work through and deal with. Another time, I remember, for example, I had organized a 9-day-long presbytery, and it's like organizing a conference on steroids. 9 days straight, 2 to 3 sessions each day, coordination across multiple venues in Brisbane, because at that time we did not have Unitas, hospitality for 6 guests. It took a lot of energy, although absolutely worth it. But on the last day, during lunch after the Sunday service, and we still had one more session to go in the afternoon, but I was ready to crash. I felt like I was just crawling to the finish line, right? Like physically, my body was at the end of itself. And when someone gave me feedback about where we had set up the guest lunch table, and I remember thinking at that point, I think I responded with something like, "Hey, I'm just too tired right now, but okay, we will keep it in view for future," and that was it. I moved on. But the thoughts that plagued my mind after that, I was thinking, really? Are you kidding me? Do you see how hard the whole team has worked? Do we not appreciate the team that has worked so hard? And all those type of thoughts were crossing my mind just from that one feedback that was offered. Later, when I had time to rest and ponder it through, I realized, hey, actually, if I removed the whole poor timing and situation and how physically drained I was, the feedback was fair. There was nothing wrong with that feedback. It's like, okay, maybe the tables were not put in the best location. There was nothing actually wrong with the feedback. But how we receive it at a certain point really depends on us. So the truth is, whether the feedback was invited or uninvited, whether it was timely or poorly timed, whether it was kind or harsh, we have the choice. Each one of us has the choice and the ability to choose how we process that feedback, how we receive it, what we take away from it, how can we take away what is good and true and helpful for our growth and leave the rest. So let me unpack this for us really quickly. It's called the anatomy of feedback. This is the brainchild of Mr. Christopher B. I'm just giving credit where credit is due. I call it the feedback digestion process. Okay, so 6 things. 1, start with humbling ourselves. Humble ourselves. We've got to start from a posture of a learner. Our heart posture changes everything to whether or not any feedback benefits us. If we are humble, if we choose to humble ourselves and seek what is true in it, we will grow from whatever feedback that is offered. So a heart posture that is humble is a heart that says, hey, you are safe to give me open and honest feedback. That's the message we are sending to people. It says, hey, I will not react with defensiveness or retaliation or take personal offense if you are honest with me with your feedback. If it hurts, humility looks like perhaps just zipping it at that point to give ourselves a chance to check our hearts first. If we train ourselves and grow in humility and security in God, feedback actually rarely hurts when a humble heart is receiving it. Second thing, understand it. So, if we're starting from that humble heart, then seek to understand the feedback. Seek to put ourselves in the shoes of the person who is offering the feedback and understand it. So ask questions like, hey, tell me more. Why does this matter to you? Why are you seeing it this way? What is the impact to you or to people? Ask questions to understand where it's coming from. And then third thing, clarify it. Ask questions to get clearer on the feedback, so you can do things like mirror that feedback back to the person. Things like you could say, so what I'm hearing is you are saying this. Is that a good way of describing it? And so when we mirror it back, we clarify the feedback that is being given. Fourth thing, distill it. So now that we've understood it, hopefully, and clarified it, it's up to us how we process it, right? So distill it or filter it. In other words, eat the fish and spit out the bones, right? Internal processing. What are the things we can take back to help us grow and to serve God better, even if it's just 5% of the feedback, right? Sometimes it feels like eating crab. I'm not a fan of eating crab all the time because of it's so much cracking and crunching to do just to get to that little bit of sweet, tender flesh, right? But do it because crab is costly. So savor the flesh, savor that little bit that we can take from feedback that is offered. Fifth thing, act on it. Take it to heart. What do we need to change? What do we need to put into action? What can we apply in our lives or in our ministry? And finally, close the loop. So in order to strengthen the relationship and build trust with people who are offering the feedback to us, we can go back to them and actually just let them know, hey, I thought about it, and this is what, thank you for telling me this. Appreciate them for actually being willing to offer the feedback. And, we can tell them, hey, so I took this away, or we're going to consider this in our, in how we do things, or tell them what we have taken on board or taken away from that feedback. By doing this, we actually strengthen the relationship, we build trust, and we are encouraging one another in this absolutely healthy culture of giving and receiving feedback. So to conclude, if we put these 6 things into practice, obviously depending on the nature and significance of the impact and how it of the feedback, and how it impacts our teams. But I'll just leave us with this. Proverbs 27:6. It says, "Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses." It speaks of words and actions of a trusted friend that might wound or hurt us, being good and trustworthy because we trust a friend's intent and love for us. It speaks of learning to value the hard truths, the difficult things that a friend might say to us because we know the good heart intent for us, right? And we value that over sweet talk and flattery from someone who cares nothing for us. So let's be that kind of friend to one another. Let's have one another's best interests at heart. Let's desire to help one another grow. Let's give feedback to one another that covers each other's blind spots and makes us win together as we serve God. God bless, guys.